Well, hello there, and welcome to yet another episode of the Merge Roundtable. We have back on the round after a long, long absence, Mark Shutt. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
And, of course, Jim Durbin. I am Mark Hopkins. Today we are going to talk about how to protect your virginity with Apple products.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
For the record, Mark Hopkins is a virgin.
I don't think that's true.
I've got walking genetic proof in the other room.
It was a miracle.
Okay. Anti-crypto army deserters coming out this week. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You had talked very big about the creator fund that Elon was putting together for Twitter. It's in the news this week. I mean, when it first came out, you were very hopeful for it.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast is less hopeful for it.
Mr. Beast posted on X.
Yeah, but not positively about the creator program. We'll dig into that. I want to understand. Maybe we can get to the bottom of this. Why Google is so bad at AI? There's another example of that this week, and the IRS campaign the citizen campaign to manufacture felons at the IRS actually had a positive effect. What does that mean? We'll talk about it. That and more after this. Stick with us. How's it going this week, gents?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's wild to see you on Twitter while talking to you about this at the same
You're
time.
going to see yourself in a couple seconds.
I know, it's still pretty wild.
Yeah.
We live in a fantastic world. For those in the bad moods, get in better moods. You live in the age of miracles.
Right.
I'm already feeling better.
I mean, given your week and some of the stuff that we could talk about off the air, but like you had a pretty good week, although it was riddled with COVID. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
he's recovering here.
I could say this. I'm a recovering COVID addict.
COVID addict.
No, you're a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
Yes.
I'm a survivor of the vid. But it's been an exciting week in crypto, lots of activity. Obviously, we've seen the market go up and down, which could be expected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last month, Bitcoin at 40,000 was like the Wolf of Wall Street. This month, Bitcoin at 40,000 is like the caveman in the snow with no clothing. But
Jim was literally complaining.
It's hard to panic. It's hard not to panic. Even after years of just 20-30% means nothing. Still.
honestly, I'm so unfazed, dude. I'm just so numb. Like, I almost pray this thing goes to 15,000. That's how much I believe in it. It's like, if this thing lost like 70% overnight, I would not worry.
One thing's for sure, Gen Z is not superstitious.
No?
Well, I think my superstition has kind of been overcome due to the fact that with so many years of struggle, to finally come to a year where we start off the year and 10 days into the year, the biggest institutions and the government alone is recognizing these assets as legitimate. I think, 4 years ago, I would be concerned if it was 30% dips and whatnot. But now it's like, how can I be when I know behind closed doors, BlackRock, JP Morgan is, getting in the sheets together and trying to figure out how to manipulate this thing so they can control it.
Right.
So that would be my biggest concern more than any charts or any, volatility in the market.
So the reason behind it, I think analysts are in pretty much solid agreement as to why the price has dipped this week, is all to do with the long-standing GBTC discount that has existed, because the biggest ETF is Grayscale. Grayscale, when they converted over to an ETF from whatever their previous like legal formation was, they had the ability to sell the Bitcoin in their possession to actually equal the value of the price. There was some sort of weird thing that was contributing to the discount where the SEC wasn't allowing them to reprice assets in their possession, which was Bitcoin, when it dropped in value. They could only reprice it when it went up.
Oh, right. That was that accounting rule that they recently changed, which allowed companies to mark Bitcoin for their current value versus previously was only if the value of Bitcoin went down. So this is a big win for balance sheets for every company, because instead of having Bitcoin as a asset that you can only mark as losing value, you can also now mark it as gaining value. So it will show the true reflection of how it affects the company and their finances.
So the guys that, I mean, you've probably seen it on Twitter, the spreadsheet that they show, like the inflows and the outflows,
Yeah,
like kind of the daily roundup.
It's incredible right now.
It's all grayscale repricing
For sure.
and probably a combination of people selling the shares that they bought at a discount that are now priced accurately, and also them selling the underlying asset that they weren't able to sell before, now that it's been repriced accurately. But most of it, except for one day this week, was all flowing into other ETFs. Like the inflows outmatched the outflows.
Yeah, and what's interesting is today the Grayscale CEO came out and said that he thinks the majority of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs will fail due to fee wars and et cetera, et cetera.
That's what Frank was saying.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's right in a certain degree, but it's just very coincidental that the leader in the ETF market is pointing out the fact that everybody else will fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's shift gears here. I know you wanted to talk about Apple and losing your virginity to an apple.
That's not quite the story. So Apple has released their like this little short teaser for the Vision Pros.
Yeah. Let's play it.
I mean, it's like 30 seconds. We could play it, yeah.
Off the record, I've seen it. It's fire.
All right, so it's
I mean, it's cool. I like what they're doing here. They're taking cultural and historic moments and trying to compare that their new Vision Pros will be as historic.
Their marketing still fantastic.
It's awesome.
kind of, but so none of this actually makes me want to put on their goggles. See,
No.
like, look, who? I mean, like
That is what I hate.
So
Like,
so play it again while we're talking. Who amongst these are actually cool people? Like Dork,
Ant-Man's
kind of a
dope.
nerd. That's a superhero goggles.
Those
Doesn't
guys-
count.
Fantastic Mr.
It's
Fox.
claymation.
For sure.
This is the dorkiest helmet in all of Star Wars.
yeah, that's
like-
true. They
well,
could've
'cause the
done
blast-
that.
Nobody
Helmet's
knows
down.
who Snoopy is. Okay, Jordy's cool.
I love SpongeBob and
But
Iron
SpongeBob's
Man.
a dork. Iron Man is the only cool one in there.
Wait, SpongeBob is not a dork. Don't offend my guy like that.
No, he's the nerd of the show. That's the whole point.
SpongeBob.
is the whole point,
I
yeah.
was raised on SpongeBob.
He's not
Yeah, because they wanted to teach you guys that you guys were worthless and weak.
the cool guy. Is
Why do you think all the jocks in movies are always losers? But the dorky little guy, who do you think writes those? The dorky little guy. The
Yeah.
jocks are out living their lives.
Yeah.
The dorky little
100%.
guy goes to Hollywood and writes the jocks are always bad. I was the secret king. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was Larry the Lobster's the cool guy on the show. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
He's a business owner.
And the squirrel. What's her name?
Oh, yeah.
Sandy.
Well, she's from Texas,
Sandy.
so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
I love Texas. Some Texas.
I don't know if any of
patriots
that's
here.
true, by the way. I'm just.
Honestly, it's a,
This is not like some good cinema movie. No. I'm just making stuff up.
honestly, I honestly believe that theory.
So what I'm saying
Anyway.
is these things were dorky already, and they picked all the dorkiest cinematic references for helmets and goggles, except for Iron Man, and said, "Okay, now buy our product, which is going to make you cool."
Okay, let's put it this way though: the average retail buyer is not looking at this and thinking, "Wow, all these characters are dumb." They're just watching. They're falling asleep to the.
But you were just saying it was amazing marketing 30 seconds ago.
right, because I'm not thinking too deeply about it.
Okay.
But now we're having conversation. You're pulling out certain things, and as I
Now he's
Okay.
pulling out his X-ray.
Okay, so let's talk about the product then, since we're not
Okay.
going to talk about the
all
marketing.
right, let's talk about the product.
We'll talk about the marketing in a
The
second.
product weighs 1.5 pounds,
That is
which
a lot.
which is about half or a quarter pound lighter than its nearest competitor in the MetaQuest 3.
Okay,
This weighs 0.83
point to
grams.
the camera.
This thing here, these are like, they look like sunglasses, right? They have all the capabilities
Yeah.
of the Vision Pro.
And how much are the Apple ones?
I don't know. Well, they're
They're
the
arm and a
expensive one is
leg.
like $1,400. The cheap one's like 900 or something,
Yeah.
700, somewhere in there.
And the X Reels were what, 600, 500?
This is 300. The new X Reel 2s with the cameras and the additional features are 700. This weighs exactly 0.4 grams more than these regular glasses.
Let me ask you this: do you have to connect those to anything?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there is a wireless feature, but I don't know if it works yet.
it does, but it's
Janky.
it's not janky. It's just like
You really want that stuff right at your head?
yeah, I don't know. I don't have it because I don't feel like I need it. For
Yeah.
most of my applications, I don't need it. But like, there's certain people that like certain applications you would want it.
And that Vision Pro commercial, it didn't seem like it was connected to anything. But I remember when they
Pull
initially
the whole thing over. There's a battery issue.
there's a battery.
There's a
issue.
battery in there.
There's a battery in there. I remember when they first initially had shown a preview of it, though, it was connected to something, right?
This is like that old joke with the laughing Mexican comic where he's like, we forgot to mill ports. They said genius. They'll have to buy dongles. Just because it's not on there.
Doesn't yeah.
I
yeah.
guarantee you there's a reason they didn't show it.
For
Probably
sure.
for the aesthetics of it.
For sure.
Nobody wants a wire.
I think hopefully for that weight, it's self-contained except for the battery, which is wired, and you got to shove that somewhere.
Maybe.
You'd
Yeah.
think you'd put it on your back or something. It's like they've never watched any sci-fi stuff. A little scorpion attachment.
Yeah.
I saw a dude with a backpack coming out of the gym the other day that I think he could have hiked Everest. He even had a little telescoping thing on the side. He's just walking out. He was totally fine. The things are so balanced and done right. I'm sure you could figure something to counter
Sure.
that weight on your neck.
I mean, that's why they have the strap that goes around the back of your head. So this
To
is
balance it out.
this is the point, right? Though it's like it's a
Why
this
so
is-
heavy?
The when we talked about it when it first was announced, like it is the wrong architecture for augmented reality. It's the right architecture for virtual reality. You want everything self-contained in virtual reality because like you don't want to have a whole. I don't have a PC
You want everything wrapped
connected
around.
to.
I don't want to see stuff out of the corner like I do with glasses.
But with
Right.
with AR, this is compatible with my Xbox, it's compatible with my laptop, it's
really?
compatible with my phone. I can play a variety. This is basically a monitor that I wear on my face that I
Right.
can also see through. And it's prescription glasses, right? It doesn't have a battery.
Have you played on the Xbox with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what happens when you're moving stuff around?
Well, you can have fixed mode or
that
you can
good for
have AR mode.
dude,
You really
I'm ready to party, man. I know it's only
you really feel like you're in what was that movie Wall-E? Like because whenever you're playing Xbox, you're just like laying down on a bed with a
you're just
controller, just
fat and Cheeto dust on
yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah, literally.
We were joking. That's what the marketing should have been. It should have been a bunch of Wall-E stuff. Here's a bunch of just fat Western people sitting there doing nothing. That's why they had to show the other stuff. They don't want to show you the truth.
Right,
Well, we're headed there in any case.
Living in your tiny little dungeon, little place.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Life's weird. Life's super weird.
But the new version to just to bookend this, the new version of the X Reels got best in show at CES this year,
Cool.
whereas no one's really talking about
Apple.
the Apples unless they put out a fully licensed commercial about it. So I just don't see a future for virtual reality in the near future until the prices come way down because it's not impulse purchase price. We were talking about it earlier today in the studio because we were like, hey, should we get into 360 video production? Like that's a underserved market. Well, there's a reason why it's underserved.
Because it's hard to do. It's expensive. And
The cheapest version of this that can play a TikTok is $60. The cheapest version of something that can play 360 video in an immersive environment is $400. You know, it's not an impulse purchase.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Long story short, Apple Vision Pro goggles suck. And you have to be a virgin to use them.
well, it's that they look so dorky. So there's a story. I don't remember where it came from. It must have been Twitter or something this morning, because it was saying that there's a reason they didn't show you the goggles, the actual goggles, because no one actually wearing them because they said it looks so dumb that people were. That was the. I mean, that was the article, right? Mm-hmm. You look so dumb, they're afraid to show it to you.
yeah.
That's a rough thing for a product that people are going to buy. I can't imagine like North Face coming out with a jacket so ugly nobody would wear it.
I mean, it's not like the Oculus is any better though. I look like an idiot
absolutely.
when I wear it.
Yeah.
I look probably even dumber with those things on.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, the Apple Vision Pro is an improvement over the Meta Quest,
For sure.
except for probably the ecosystem of apps.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say
In fact,
this.
they'll probably force you to watch a U2 concert. I still have their stupid album on my phone. I can't get rid of it. Every
Oh,
time
U2?
that stupid
Yeah.
U2 one, I've
Oh my
never listened
gosh.
to it just in protest. Like I've deleted it off of every library. It never goes. It pulls my music off. It pulls MIDI's off
Yeah.
and shows off. God forbid I don't have DRM on my own freaking phone, but That stupid YouTube, Innocence of Wolves or whatever the hell it is.
When you
I
get
hate
in
it.
when you get in the car, does it autoplay?
A lot. Far too often.
They're trying to indoctrinate you.
I think the AI has figured out who I am and how to get to me.
Yeah. He's trying
But
to
I want to
break you.
defend the marketing for a second. So
Okay.
think about what those are. It's a brilliant play. The problem is that the match is not going to match the reality of the technology, so it often doesn't. Because anything we wanted is that augmented reality. We want that ordinal scale Sword Art Online. Like you talk about putting those on, looking down the road, and it tells you to turn direction. So instead of looking at your phone, now you're looking up and it's actually saying turn right. And you're seeing it right there. Like that's one of the uses. You've done it on your bike. It's good enough that you can put glasses on and drive with your bike. I've wanted that Tony Stark, that Minority Report thing for so long because it's the world's biggest screen. It's like the wall becomes your screen. And once they get your hands and you can learn to do it, that's what we want in the
Amazing.
future.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just not going to deliver that, but it kind of picks it. Put those goggles on, and all of a sudden I get it. I'm excited. I just know it's way off.
I mean, that's,
Much further off than they're.
yeah.
willing to,
That's why I'm upset about it, because I'm upset about it for the same reason whenever I see a good, I'm upset about it for the same reason I was upset about Google Glass failing. Like, because I want that augmented reality future. And when you screw up the marketing that bad, or you screwed up the product that bad, that you're going to delay adoption by another decade. We could have had these a decade ago if Google Glass hadn't screwed it up.
Well, if the glass holes hadn't screwed it up.
Well, but that was part of the marketing. They were trying to market it as a piece of fashion apparel. And
Did they all have to vape at the same time?
I think that was a requirement. That was the
Makes
problem.
sense.
Just like virgins are required.
It
for
has
Apple.
ruined me both for glasses and vapes because the two of those together, it's what, 15 years now. I'm just like, or 10 or whatever it was. I just can't stand watching people vape. All I can think of is the glass holes.
The glass hole.
Just realized
It's
that.
a nice new term we just created.
Because they're
on the
not
show.
talking to anybody, and they're just nervously doing that little thing like this, and then and you can't tell if they're looking at you.
No, that was the actual name they gave to people that use Google Glass.
Because if you
They
walk
called them
around
glass
with them-
holes.
Glass holes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would ever want to be called a glass hole?
Well, they didn't
Exactly.
like that.
That was why. So that's what killed it. That's what killed the product. Was
That and the assumption that everybody's watching porn.
and Robert Scoble showering with them. Yeah. that also that made
ruins
it,
a lot of things.
Look at this glass hole over here. Vaping up the room.
oh man.
Cool. Let's move on. We've talked a lot on this topic.
So the anti-crypto army deserters. There's been two big ones this week. Your favorite, Jamie Dimon.
Oh my God. He's so heinous. Like, what is his deal? He's just been on the news every single day talking down about Bitcoin, which actually I can talk on this topic now because I learned today what a authorized participant is in an ETF, and JP Morgan is an authorized participant in BlackRock's ETF. And basically what this means is a couple things. They can create and destroy ETFs, they can provide liquidity, and they can also arbitrage the pricing of the ETF. So it's quite interesting that having such a big role in this new chapter of cryptocurrency, JP Morgan, meaning I'm trying to say, and the owner of JP Morgan is going on live television almost daily now talking down on Bitcoin. Obviously, every time he goes on live television, every company wants to know, every news outlet wants to know his thoughts on it, but you know, there's something here because if you look at other headlines, you can see the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, in 2017 talking about how horrible Bitcoin is, how horrible it is for sex trafficking and drugs and all these things. And it's like,
I thought it was pretty good for sex trafficking and drugs.
I mean, I guess it is, but the point being is,
It's a matter of conversational perspective, I guess.
yeah, it depends
My
what side
apologies.
of the table you're
Please
on, right?
continue.
But the point I'm just trying to make is like these guys are not your average Joe.
Right.
He's not going on live television and saying he hates it because he genuinely has no passion for Bitcoin. He's going on it because they have a targeted agenda that they've made behind closed doors that they're executing on right now. And I guarantee in a couple of years, as Bitcoin continues to establish itself, which it already has, but you know, he will come back and say he's not going to say he was wrong. He would never admit that, but he will say that he believes in Bitcoin. He'll say the exact opposite of what he's saying now is my point. So I'll stop ranting on that.
So this week, and we can roll the video clip is very short. It's just him saying he heard you. He's never going to talk about Bitcoin again.
Good job.
Good. He also said Satoshi or something.
Yeah. He can't.
He can't even pronounce a name. What's wrong with the guy?
They all of them pretend. All these boomers pretend like they can't pronounce any of the Bitcoin terms properly. I think it was Sartoshi was the guy from the other guy in Congress said it that way.
Let's hear this.
It's sort of laborious at this point.
That's a good word.
Which is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This ETF was approved just about a week ago now, and I think a lot of people are trying to understand what it ultimately means.
Yeah.
JP Morgan, I imagine if you were a client of JP Morgan, you could call your broker and say, get me some of this ETF. Mm-hmm. What are you telling your brokers to tell them back when they make that call?
Yeah. So this is an important thing. This is the last time I've ever talked about this in CNBC. Okay, so help me God. Blockchain is real. It's a technology. We use it. It's going to move money. It's going to move data. It's efficient. We've been talking about that for 12 years too, and it's very small. Okay, so I think we've wasted too many words in that. Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think of a cryptocurrency as an embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that. And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases, AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe $50, $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So, yeah. Now, okay. Now my last statement. The last
one I
ever
know
talked
what
about
that
Bitcoin
equates to in the percentage of all listed activity. Less than 1%, 0.67 to be exact.
I gotta find this. I tweeted it out. I didn't include it in the show notes because I wasn't sure we were going to talk about it. But the
Chainalysis this morning.
No. Well, maybe that. But there was a report that came out from the World Economic Forum this week that said in the regulated world of traditional finance, over $1 trillion, it was like $1.7 trillion worth of sex trafficking, criminal use, fraud, all the things that he said Bitcoin was good for, a good use case for, happen in traditional finance. 1.7 trillion. Even by his numbers, 50 to 100 billion is a rounding error.
Yeah.
To the global, that's his bank. He's the biggest bank.
Yeah, I mean...
what portion of that $1.7 trillion is Jamie Dimon responsible for sex trafficking?
All of it.
I want to let you both know that I had an amazing joke that I won't tell you until after the broadcast is over. But I need to just let you know it's sitting there on the table.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it live, but I want you to hear it later.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm not sitting here just casually
advice.
Not paying attention. I'm desperately trying to hold myself in.
Well, you've done a great job of it, but please let yourself out.
I will be the first one at a Jim Durbin open mic. So
first and last.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine an open mic from Jim. The heinous things that would occur there.
What are you talking about? I'm a suburban dad.
Jim, I'm going to the casino tonight. You want to come?
Not really.
Okay, I thought you'd say yes.
So the other crypto army deserter this week is none other than Gary Gensler. He gave an interview to...
oh my God, pause. Breaking news. Apple Vision Pro headset pre-orders are now live. They heard our broadcast. They loved it so much. Pre-orders are live, guys. Use our discount code, The Merge.
They didn't want to launch it till they got a little oomph behind it, a little wind beneath their sails.
Yeah.
They want to follow that momentum into a good quarter.
There we go.
That is kind of funny, though, that they just went live with that while we're on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you, though.
That's fine. I mean, that's bigger news than Gary Gensler saying he's never going to talk about crypto again.
That is
they're
just
both saying that?
How do these people get away doing these things? That's just straight.
He's pivoting like a washed out crypto bro. He is pivoting to AI.
Oh my God.
I feel like we've added bro to too many things. I was reading about passport bros the other day.
Yeah.
It's like, what could that possibly mean? What's
I've seen passport bros. They're like the guys who like give you all these travel hacks and like help you get passports in other countries.
I think it's supposed to be
the
like they
credit guy.
basically go to poor countries to find a wife. Was the idea that's their heading to Eastern Europe or to Dominican or Costa Rica or something.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna put bro into everything. We got tech bros. Just bro becomes everything. Dude bros.
No comment, bro.
No comment, bro. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, long story short, we hate Gary Gensler on this show, and we hope one day he is not the SEC commissioner.
You keep my SEC commissioner's name out your mouth.
God forbid I say his name. Don't use the commissioner's name in vain.
He's
All praise.
Wasn't that who was it? The new Speaker of the House ended up having some Christian argument about Biden being legitimate and brought by God.
Wow.
Did you not catch that?
I did not. No, I'm way in my little bubble.
It's a very old argument. So you go to any church in the country, or you used to, I don't know if it's happened, but one of the things like all the Episcopal Church and others, they pray for the governor, the president, the people appointed over you, because in the Bible it says that you're supposed to pay basically to Caesar, Caesar to his and God his.
Sure, yeah.
But you're supposed to submit to the religious authorities. That's all through the Bible, not just religious, but the secular authorities. They're there, put there by God for a reason. And he comes out and said, it's funny as they act like this is a big deal, but this is pretty much just standard Christian doctrine.
Yeah.
Is Joe Biden's
the problem
presidency
is
God's
he's
will?
one of these Republicans, I guess, who's just never been in the media before.
I said in my speech,
doesn't realize what it
before
sounds
I
like.
took the gavel, that look, I'm a Bible-believing Christian, right? Bible-believing Christian believes what the Bible says, right? The Bible says that God is the one that raises up people in authority. I believe God is sovereign. By the way, so did the founders. I quoted the Declaration of Independence. They acknowledged that our rights don't come from government; they come from God, and we're made in His image. Everybody's made the same. We all are given equal rights and value, and that's something that we defend. So if you believe all those things, then you believe that God is the one that allows people to be raised in authority. It must have been God's will then. That's my belief, right? But I think that a nation makes a decision collectively because we're given the free will to do that, and I think we're going to make a much better choice as a country coming up in this election cycle.
We absolutely are.
Those definitely coincide, right? We have our autonomy to vote, but also divine rights of kings. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess so. Interesting.
Yeah, Mike Henry, this guy's. I'm not going to get started. You keep talking crypto.
That's fascinating though. They just randomly stuff just pops out, and then
it's crazy. It's like it must be
everything's so disjointed. Like that said, right at the time that Republicans and Democrats just finished Iowa and are headed to New Hampshire. Like it's such an odd thing to watch news pop out. Oh, and there's a Super Bowl going on. There's playoffs are going on. Oh, there's this big thing in entertainment. Things are so fragmented that I don't think anything catches on.
Well, it's just because there's so many people and outlets trying to get attention, short-term attention. But speaking of what you're speaking of, we're only 2 weeks into the year and like so much has happened. So much has happened. I'm not going to list it all because I don't even know, but like World Economic Forum, ETFs, freaking a Boeing jet opened in midair. Like all these things are happening, and we're literally today is the 19th day of the year. It's going to be a very interesting and rocky year. And obviously people like that are pushing certain agendas for a reason and have certain things that they want to achieve. And it's just not coincidental that, all these things happen. And it's 19 days into the year.
Yeah. Well, not to bring it back to our boy Gensler, but this is actually what he was talking about in his comments about not talking about crypto anymore, and he's going to talk about AI. So AI, he's explaining that AI washing refers to investor and employee interest occurring when making claims about a new technology model. He's basically saying AI is going to use its ability to propagate and create disinformation and media cycles to manipulate markets for the profit of either the AI owners or individual AIs
Isn't that
themselves.
pretty much what a quant was supposed to do? It's like the quant is the human mentat.
Right.
versus the computer. I mean, that's basically the argument. No. You can't be better than our human mentats now. Now you have to. I mean, isn't that the argument? These are people who made money off of high-speed trades because they ran cables so they get information quicker. Made hundreds of billions of dollars off of it. And now of course AI can do all that.
This is Rachel Wolfson, who's a noted crypto reporter, is the one that wrote the article about this. And I mean, she immediately follows his comments with exactly what you said, is like a whole bunch of examples of where humans do the exact same thing now. How is this new? Oh, this is this is kind of on the same topic too. The SEC ruined a guy's life also this year or last year, and is coming out in court exactly what they did just during the course of the investigation. The allegations and the banking screws that they put to this guy that came out in court to be complete lies, destroyed. The guy he lost his family, lost his house, lost his business, lost his bank accounts.
Well, they freeze everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
He must have done something wrong.
Sure.
Did he not follow a rule? Because I don't have sympathy for somebody who doesn't follow every rule. I mean, rules are there for a reason.
Right.
Good people don't have these problems. No?
Gensler is the definition of lawful evil. He's for D&D nerds in the audience. He's lawful evil. Okay, we get it. SEC bad.
It's a good thing I don't own a lot of stocks.
You know what else is
Or
bad?
that I'm a qualified investor. I'd be terrified of being on this show.
Qualified investor, accredited,
accredited.
I don't even know what that's how bad it is. I don't know which one it is. The one that you get in trouble if you're not
accredited.
It's accredited.
Yeah.
For
sure. What else is bad is Google's AI. Why is that so? Why is Google's AI is bad? Like, we know kind of anecdotally it's bad. Here's another data point. This week, I was deep inside of the Google AI cloud software, trying to figure out an API issue. For some reason, it was not allowing me to access the Merge YouTube channel from the Merge associated Gmail account programmatically. It says, hey, why don't you click on this button and talk to, they call it, it's basically their version of Copilot, but I forget what it's called, to figure out the problem. It goes, and then the solution to the problem was, you need a Google Plus account. It was a really long, detailed response of how to sign up for Google Plus.
You just don't realize the 4D chess that Google's playing.
Yeah,
Google Plus is coming back.
Is it right? Is it?
And the AI knows it because it knows it was a superior product and not just something you signed up and never ever looked at again.
It's like the old Bernie Bros. This is how we could still win.
2 weeks. Just wait 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And
there's another bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah,
that too.
Yeah, Bernie Bros.
That's the only
Bro.
good bro.
The only good bro.
And then I
All
pointed
bros
out.
are good. I'm sorry, I take
Just
it back.
not outside a softball game.
I pointed out to the AI, like, Google Plus doesn't exist, and it says, sorry, I can't help you with this. That was the response.
I mean, what was the last product that Google ever put out that worked? Gmail?
I mean, so you got Gmail.
Authenticator?
Are you talking
Nice
about
campus.
they put out or they bought?
Put
Right?
out.
Put out. Okay, so search.
Okay, so 2002.
That's all you need.
And it's been
That's all you
terrible
need.
since 2012.
Search and Gmail.
You didn't even know when it was good, man. It used to be so good. It used to actually give you the stuff you needed. Oh, fantastic.
Google.
Blackmarket.com.
I mean, really? Yeah. I mean, you could get anything on Google.
You could search all kinds of things that were on. It's because when it scraped a bigger portion of the web. I think it was at 16 or 17% at one point.
Yeah.
And now it's like half of a percent.
That's like 1%.
Like getting
The
smaller.
ones that pay.
It's like
get
the universe
on
that
there.
just keeps growing.
So Google Docs was an acquisition. That was Rightly.
Right.
YouTube was an acquisition. Those were
That's what I'm saying. They don't build stuff. I don't know
don't-
why people think they would launch or run anything. And why would you stay at Google? Because you can't get great stocks now. It's a sinecure. It's a put it on your resume and move on. But you're not going to do great stuff for the most part.
They built Google Reader, RIP.
Yeah, exactly.
We,
And that
what about
crowded out all the
Google-
other RSS readers, and now there's no RSS readers.
Yeah.
Google Glass.
Yeah. They built that. Android. Although the team that built Android was acquired, it was previously Sidekick, but they did almost all the R&D in-house.
I'll give them Android.
Yeah.
I'm saying is, why would they be surprised? What's scarier to me are the number of people who swear how good Bard is. And sometimes I just kind of look at them. I'm like, what are you using it for?
So here's where
I think they're using it for search.
Where it does excel, or I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say excels, but it does okay. It does okay. It does at least as good as ChatGPT with Bing. Is whenever you do a Google search and you have that like expand the search with Bard, and it summarizes the key points from the first 3 or 4 links on the page.
Ugh. The exact thing we don't want people doing.
It does, but it does a reasonably accurate job of doing that, right? Without having to click on those links, you can get an idea of what's in there.
So it reinforces people's worst ideas based on what they search. That's fantastic.
But it does exactly. I mean, that's exactly what ChatGPT with Bing does too. Like it takes like the first or second result. The only difference is with ChatGPT with Bing is it writes the query for you, so it might be better or worse depending on how good your Google foo is.
I want to know what happens when AI start building like good page ranks and stuff like that, so you can actually figure out what's going on. I don't like that I don't know any of this. I was looking at my analytics just in the last couple of days. I had a post on X that went 130,000 people viewed it. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of followers on there.
Nice.
Just checking.
That's a great post.
I think I was even responding to something Mark Cuban said, which is
it about the jobs?
Yeah. And people just went nuts with it, and 1,000 people said I liked it.
Wait, was it his post about like how did you get hired or something like that? It was. I saw that too. He commented, like he responded to only one comment, and his thing was
the very first guy.
Yeah. He was like, the point of this post was to prove that no company objectively has guidelines as to how they hire people.
See, let's talk about Cuban just a second for that, because
I like that guy.
I want to give you some background on what's actually occurring, because I don't think people know, and it just cracks me up just to have a little inside baseball for that.
Please.
So 100 of those, I just set up a newsletter on LinkedIn. I just literally created a post, and it created a newsletter for me, and then I got 1,000 subscribers. And then I have something else we just done. Oh, I made a little silly post yesterday, and I got 6,000 views, which normally it's 1,000, so it's 6 times.
Yeah.
So we're seeing all this different traffic, but the question I have is, okay, how much of it's real? I can't see who my newsletter subscribers are without doing some back-end stuff and scraping off my own website. I don't know if the views were actually views. I don't know who responded. I can see the likes, and I can't even do it by likes and comments and reposts now, because so many people are learning to do that just on their own. Oh, I want to help Jim, or I know him, or they read the first 3 lines of a post. The way people would share news on Facebook, and really it was just CNN posted something, and they just read the title and share it, never actually reading through anything in the post. Because the question is, we're getting all this. What's the point of all these analytics? Is it going to make anything happen? I worry that people do that. It's that old dopamine thing. They're doing this. Now they feel like they've helped you. You're not going to buy from you. They're not going to call you. How much of our loneliness and the concerns that people have right now about people not meeting is based on the fact that we quite literally are getting our needs met with a couple of likes. That was a concern back in Bloggers Day, and I'm worried that we don't talk about this anymore. It's not even something. It's either cold turkey, social media sucks, or I have to use it. Not what are the appropriate barriers? What do we need to know that's going on? So it's following up from there. The Cuban thing. So when he bought the Mavericks, he walked in. The entire organization was all old white men, which is strange because the whole point when you start talking about diversity of thought, diversity of DEI programs and stuff from HR and TA. The argument's always, what is diversity? Is it diversity of thought? Is it diversity of experience? Is it diversity of race and religion and colors? And they go back to some old studies that said basically a diverse group does better in performing these tasks than a homogenous group. The problem is they then leap and turn that into something that happens for companies. But the push behind it is, for example, you don't want a guy like me marketing to girls your age. I know nothing about what they're doing. Putting me in a marketing room to discuss those, I could talk tactics, but you need some young people. Well, you need people who understand the market itself. You should not have, if you want to get into the South American market, you got to talk to people from South America. That's a basic diversity thing. So when he got to the Mavericks and it was all old white guys serving the NBA, which is young, it's definitely not just the players, but the fan base is very diverse. So he hired someone who's in DEI, who's come in and has actually started interviewing and hiring people, and they've greatly changed the look and the feel of the Dallas Mavericks organization. So in his experience, DEI works because what he was really doing was he was making sure that they were pivoted towards the right audience. What he's saying now, though, is when he then takes that experience and says diversity, quotas, frameworks, which we've had 70 years of arguments about this stuff. He just throws it out there like no one's ever heard of it before. So he's taking his personal experience, which is clearly why he's writing about this, and then jumping in because he thinks he has a winning argument. I just don't think he's dug into the rest of it.
Well, I mean, but like that is the argument, though. It's just the implementation, like most mainstream ideas, is. I mean, like I believe in diversity. I'm not a DEI person, but I think you know me. I've always tried to populate my workplaces with some diverse viewpoints and everything else. Mostly because I believe
the way you have GameStop friends and you have Bitcoin friends, but
right,
they don't mix. That way you're diversifying. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, like it's like this table. I mean, like there's diversity of news bubbles that we all represent. That's why this show exists. I like to increase the diversity because I want to cross-pollinate some of the ideas that because I live in this AI crypto bubble. That's all I see. You see kind of more of like kind of a DGen Web3 side of things. You see political stories that I never see because I've tuned it all out. You know,
I really tried to tune it out too.
Yeah, but it still breaks in because of who you are as a person, what your bubble looks like, right? And that's how you've tuned your social media. So I absolutely believe in diversity from the same perspective that Mark Cuban does. I believe that. I just don't know how do we get from explaining why diversity matters to, a proper framework for implementation.
It's pretty serious, and it's an easy explanation. Stop being an American.
Okay.
So DEI is its practice in corporate America, came out of the universities. It is a Marxist-based thing. It's we're not Marxists, we're new Marxists. It's total nonsense based on the idea that there's oppressors and these oppressed. And when you start from that, the only solution, and when you go talk to the heads of DEI, in their quiet moments, they'll say, oh, well, we have to get rid of capitalism or there'll always be discrimination. Why would you admit that to the CEO, that until the company's gone, you can't get rid of it? That's what they're saying in their personal, their private, their public works. That is not how the rest of the world views it. We've got this poisonous view of it that's really based on it's a Marxist pitch from academia that just kind of spread out, and then because of people like Cuban going, this is diversity. It's not. It's politics and power. Diversity is an entirely different thing. I think we can all agree on that. There's nothing. I mean, that's the whole point of having a multicultural society. If you're looking for homogenous, for heterogeneous, I don't even remember. I don't want to use the big words right now, but we're mixing the two and then arguing. So Cuban's arguing that there's nothing wrong with not working with people who don't look just like you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a stupid thing to say that in general. That's much different than, by the way, we're going to change everything. We're going to put 450 DEI administrators in Michigan.
What's DEI?
Well, it used to stand for diversity. It used to be D&I, diversity and inclusion. And then became DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you don't know those things, why? Well, not you individually, but why would they not discuss? They're discussing it like, I know the word. I know what diversity means. I know the dictionary definition.
No, I talk about this all the time about Mark and I were just talking, I think yesterday or whenever, about there's the academic, theoretical frameworks that then get co-opted and applied to our current system of management. And that's what you're pointing to, Jim. I don't want to derail it too much. Maybe we can talk about this on the Jim Durbin show next week. But I would love to, because that's my big problem with it fucking sucks. It's like our current system of economic production ruins everything good.
Well, we can't
I know that's not what you said. I'm putting words in your mouth, but I want to do that.
We don't get to choose what we are. We're stuck with these stupid debates like, that's capitalist or that's socialist, and those don't work anymore. So now we're like, Okay, that's late stage capitalism, and that's mixed market socialism. We're just gonna,
No, oh,
we
man.
refuse
We
to give
gotta-
up the arguments
Mark.
of any kind.
Okay, production note. Okay, the Jim Durbin show is going to be Jim and Sohill.
Okay.
Jim Sohill.
Jim and
Mark,
Sohill.
you're going to be the engineer.
There we go. I'll push the buttons.
No, I'll do it from here. It's fine.
I like when it goes back there. It's got the red lights when it switches over to him. Here's this mystical voice. This deep voice comes in. This is your program engineer speaking to you. I like it. It's good.
Is that all you think of me, Jim?
No, but back there when you're doing for the role of the show,
I know.
All right. Let's see.
he's so touchy. He always thinks.
No, we all love you. Long story short.
I was just joking. Y'all need to develop a sense of humor.
Yeah.
We
And a sense of
missed
inclusion.
we missed our entry point into the story a couple times, but Mr. Beast this week said that
Let's
Elon Musk's creator program is not producing a serious enough amount of financial reward for him to even consider contributing to it, compared to other social networks like YouTube, where he is, a beast, I guess.
I mean, until he says something wrong.
Right. So, like, this was kind of. If I was smart enough to have the tape rated at where I said this was going to be the thing, there's just not enough revenue and not enough. It's not the right format for a creator program. You're competing for pennies. It's a CPC system, and.
But is there anything really like it? YouTube isn't creator stuff. It's influencer, which is the economics of that are much different.
But he makes his money off of the ads on you. He's like the number one guy on YouTube, right? So like his bar of excellence is quite large. But even if he was the number one guy on X or Twitter, he still is not going to be getting anything close to, because it's a different format. It's a text format. Elon is trying to move it towards like a blogging format.
Right.
Blogging's never going to make what video makes. That's why video got so big.
It's okay. At one point, we're going to go to microblogging. It's going to be a new service.
Yeah.
Maybe like 135, 140 characters.
Right.
That's a good idea. We should create something like that.
But yeah, for sure. Like that would be revolutionary. Insane.
Maybe we could use hashtags.
My videos cost millions to make, and if they got 1 billion views on X, it wouldn't fund a fraction of it. He says, I'm down to test stuff once monetization is really cranking, though. Musk declined to respond to Mr. Beast.
I don't even think they make their money off of the views on YouTube in any case. I mean, they make a lot probably, but like anybody who's making video content is not making the majority of their.
Mr. Beast is kind of a different. I see what you're saying, Mark. Like, there's a lot of sponsorship and stuff, and I know Beast gets sponsorship money, but that man makes his money from YouTube ads.
Yeah,
but my point is most people don't, and he's the exception because he's the top #1 video creator. But an average,
Yeah, but pulling him over, it's like putting Joe Rogan on Spotify.
Okay, but these are all exceptions, right? These are the top 1% of the 1%. We're not. If our show would make money right now, it's not going to be from YouTube ads. It's going to be us pulling in sponsors. Correct?
Yes and no. So here's the key difference, and it has nothing to do. So we feel like online video has been commoditized because of YouTube and Vimeo and other places. Everybody offers free video hosting, but you don't understand how expensive it is to serve videos up on the internet, especially if something gets any sort of scale. Like, it is a serious data center expense to both host it and deliver it, right? So YouTube, the fact that we get free video hosting from YouTube, that is easily, like, they're subsidizing this show to the tune of probably thousands of dollars a month. That's how much we would have to pay if we were doing it ourselves.
We used to all have our own servers, and you'd post something, just a text post. And if too many people hit it, 50,000 people showed up, which doesn't seem like a lot. You'd get a bill. Your website would be turned off. You'd immediately get a bill from your hosting provider. Pay this $1,000 or we'll never turn it back on. and chasing collections.
For sure.
That
Good
was for a
business model.
text post.
Just hosting. So at
By the
one
time
point,
video came out, yeah.
at one point, I had a company called Blip Media. It hosted 70% of the world's podcasters. Podcasting was an audio only thing at the time. It was I wound up selling it to a competitor eventually.
How many goddamn companies, Mark?
Check my LinkedIn. They're
A lot.
one of the things that caused me to sell it was when I got popular, my monthly bill was about $15,000 for serving up audio in 2007. So actually, no, 2005.
So lit.
Right. So what I'm saying is we don't understand. Now prices.
I was
have
going
gone.
to say I will never understand that. Like that's wild.
So, but the cost to serve up a Twitter post is nowhere near that, and it never will be because it's text and it's a small amount. So the subsidy that Elon is offering to his creators doesn't compare to the subsidy that YouTube is offering.
Agreed.
So it makes sense that YouTube would like, okay, well, we're only going to give you like 14% or 20% of your ad revenue. For Elon to say the same thing is a little greedy or whatever. It's not equitable. Anyway, that is probably where the crux, in my opinion, that's probably the crux of the disconnect and why Mr. Beast is like, yeah, figure it out and I'll come back.
I mean, we always hope for micropayments. That was the goal. That's why I don't think until there's a currency that, until something like Doge or I don't know what else you'd use, Litecoin maybe, some small thing. I don't even. I'm so far out of that. Are we in loop 3 or loop 3, ring 2? I don't have. I've forgotten all of it. That's how long it's been since I've looked at it. But an easy something like that, like 15 cents, that's not charged on my taxes. Like if we really started using crypto in that way, that'd be great. I'd much rather send $5 of Doge over to somebody than a $5 PayPal that comes out of my Apple Card or comes out of my bank. I don't like doing the bank stuff. Plus, now knowing that apparently you can't even buy religious tracts online without the DOJ looking at you. I mean, that's terrifying stuff. So imagine what that means with like your Amazon history. We talked about that at one point where they used my Amazon history. I actually used that as a defense against accusations that I was hoarding some kind of, it was a bad family court thing. So I actually went through and I had my Amazon receipts showed up that I was buying lawn equipment, not trying to scare my ex that I was some kind of serial killer.
Right.
Like, what a crazy thing. It's like the guys using Google Maps to prove that they didn't commit a crime. They're like, I've had my phone on me. Here's a picture. Here's a video of me at the pub. There's my location data. As you can see, I was nowhere near New Brunswick. So there's some value in some of those things.
Yeah, it just goes back to our earlier discussion about Jamie Dimon, that cabal of politicians and bureaucrats and corporate people that like to say that Bitcoin is only good for negative things, but it's absolutely positive or it has use cases for things like what
We
we're
hear lots
talking
of
about.
people say that. That message is definitely resonating.
Yeah, and just even like normal, like the DOJ should have it should care 0% whether or not I buy a Bible online. It should not flag anything, and it absolutely is happening. Like that it did come out this week. It's incontrovertible. DOJ is flagging people for buying religious stuff.
You guys see CBS get caught taking out this NFL player from Houston. Every time he's on an interview, the first thing he says is, I give glory and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ. And CBS literally cut it out, and they caught them.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
You tell me that news programs have been editing video to push a narrative, and that's why black SUVs in the news. This is the old Rush Limbaugh one. He'd point out that when you have an accident, so it's way back in the 80s, it started, SUVs became bad. Jim Durbin of the 400th block of Brentwood crashed his car into a neighboring coffee thing because he was drinking on Thursday morning. But black SUV runs over 4 school children in a school. It's basically, it's a person. If it's once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's like oh, and because it's part of the AP style book.
I see what you're
Are
saying.
the unofficial one. It always says black SUV, and you can see how they pick and change different things because they've been doing it for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they've been cutting that, we've seen them change the color of skin on people. They used to do that in Tea Party days. There was a guy with an open carry AR rifle. He was an Army veteran. He was black. They literally changed it so that you couldn't see his hand. so they can make it out to be some Arizona. But of course they do that. Of course, wouldn't they? Annie Leibovitz and John McCain. We're supposed to do the portrait, and then she does the one with him as the like vampire, as the bloodthirsty vampire. It's what media does, man.
That man is a war hero.
Is he?
Well, let's not get into it now.
So we're coming up on the end of the program. I wanted to get this story in from last week. We were talking about, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. It was where we were talking about this way to entrap government officials into committing a felony.
Sending them crypto.
By sending them crypto above a certain amount and not enforcing it. Turns out the IRS has heard us and decided to sort of like rescind that rule. It's a very weird thing. So Jerry Brito, who's like the guy over that runs Coin Center, said, glad to see the IRS has belatedly listened to us and recognized the impossibility of complying with 6050I using crypto, which if you didn't see the program a couple weeks ago, it basically says that if you receive $10,000 worth of anything, but specifically crypto as well, and you do not report the
How much?
$10,000 or more, and you don't report who it was that sent it to you, you are within 15 days to the IRS, you are committing a felony. That's the rule. But Brito goes on to say the statement is baffling because they state that the new crypto reporting obligations for the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act require the Treasury Department to issue regulations before it goes into effect. But there's nothing in the law that says this, and there's no legal reasoning that this would be the. Basically, they're saying the IRS has issued a statement saying, we'll issue some regulations about that, but they have not been empowered by anything in the law or the Constitution to actually issue a regulation on it. So it's kind of like somebody screwed up here, but we're not going to say who.
So you're saying we get results on this show?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want,
Apple breaks products after we launch stuff. They rewrite rules for us.
We need
to be careful with this power, boys.
Yes.
All right, bros.
I hope the McRib comes back next week.
We'll see.
Just saying.
I hope I have $1 million in Bitcoin next week.
I don't even want the McRib. I just want it to come back now. We're going to test it out.
All right, Mark's got to get back to work. His boss is like knocking on the door over here.
He's not, but I'm knocking.
So, any final words, gents?
$1 million of Bitcoin in my bank account. My address is 123cryptobro.com. See you guys.
Crypto Bro Manifestations. All right.
He's a bro.
All right. See you next week. Right. You're watching The Merge. Business, finance, and tech news and opinion. We keep you up to date so you don't have to go out there searching for what's new. You can hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the TikTok subscribe, the Instagram subscribe. We're going to keep you up to date wherever you are.